All right, so this week we're going over stress as well as mental health. So, this PowerPoint, I want to focus on some tips for reducing stress. I'm also going to briefly go over kind of like what a little brief introduction to what is stress. So, end of the year, end of the semester stressors can be a variety of things, right? We were worried about like finals are coming, we're stressing about that. School in general, maybe you're worried about grades, maybe you've applied to the nursing program and you're worried about that. um Holidays, right? Like, so for December we've like got, Christmas coming up, but like in May there's Memorial Day, and I'm sure there's other holidays in there as well. Maybe you're stressed about that. Maybe you have family things, we have work, money is a huge stressor, and maybe you're just stressed about things going on. So we have all of these things going on, and they can all lead to stress in our life. So I like to use this picture to see like which person best describes it. You can pause the video if you want to kind of like really look at it. The longer you look, the funnier it gets. To kind of like figure out like where are you stress wise in your life? Are you barely keeping up like this person over here who's just trying to catch up, he's not even on board? Or are you, number 16 who's like pointing out all the problems that are happening? Maybe you feel like you're drowning in what's going on, or maybe you're just like oblivious to everything. You're just like, what I'm gonna do, what I'm gonna do. But this is a good picture if you're trying to figure out like how stressed you are to look at, to figure out. So, what is stress? So, stress is simply just a physical response to a perceived threat. Basically, your body thinks that it's in danger, something happens, and your body's like, oh my god, this is dangerous, and it activates an autonomic reflex. Basically, it's an automatic thing, you don't have any control over it. And it basically activates the fight, flight, or freeze response for your body. Um, so, like I said, it's completely automatic, you have no control over it, and it's a physical response. So, how do we know when we're stressed? So, like I said, it's a physical response. We also see some emotional responses as well as some like mental kind of responses as well, right? So, the physical responses we can see are, right, like maybe our heart is racing, we have headaches, maybe your stomach isn't feeling as great, maybe you're nauseated. We also see some emotional responses, right? Maybe you're just more irritable than normal. Maybe every little thing frustrates you. Maybe you're on the verge of tears. And we also see some mental responses too, right? Like maybe you can't focus on anything. Maybe you're just kind of like this brain fog. So all of these things, and you can see more here on this little diagram of the different how your body responds to stress or how stress affects your body. So all those little things can pick up and notice that we're stressed. So for y'all, I would recommend is like think about your body, your response. Like for me, I tend to get headaches, I tend to be more irritable, are just some of the things that I notice when I'm getting more stressed. So like kind of pay attention to those so that way you can get an idea of like when your stress is getting higher. The other thing to keep in mind is that stress, it looks different for everybody, and what our threshold for like stress is going to be different for other people, right? So like for example, when Rapunzel gets stressed out, she runs and hides in the cave and just kind of like panics about things. Aang here is just kind of having essentially a panic attack. Right, Sheldon is down here, whereas Arya, like, she leans into the stress. She doesn't like get stressed out. She's like, I got this, it's fine. Like Wanda Maximoff, she just created a false world and kind of like hid and denied everything that was happening. And then we just see like Rachel and Monica over here just having the conversation about like panicking about doing something. So just keep in mind, like, it looks different for everyone. Your stress response, your stress level and tolerance is going to be different for other people. So judge it by other people, judge it for you and you alone. So how do we reduce it, right? The big question, how to reduce it? There's a variety of things. So we're going to go over some of these in more detail. I'll add some other ones as well. But some ways you can do it is like breathing exercises are great for like an in the moment. If you're starting to feel yourself panic, if you're starting to make yourself feel like anxious, go ahead and do some breathing exercises. I know in one of my other videos I talked about like the 4-4-4 method, which is basically 4 seconds. You breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold for 4 seconds, and you breathe out for 4 seconds. So that's a good one for like an in the moment thing. Taking care of your sleeping routine. Sleep is really important for kind of reducing that stress, bringing that down. I am aware that's easier said than done. I will be honest, my sleeping patterns are not great. They're better, but they're not great. Staying active. This could be as simple as just taking a quick 15-minute walk when you have a chance, or it could be something more like, intensive, like maybe you're like really into like the gym and running and you have like a whole like hour-long workout. That's cool, whatever works. Taking a pause, kind of like meditating. And that could just be saying 15 minutes and I'm just gonna meditate and focus on something. Advice for meditation I also got was like, it can also be where just 15 minutes and you just let your mind wander wherever it goes. You just follow that. Can also be helpful. Staying hydrated is always important. Asking for help. It's okay to ask for help, whether it's talking and reaching out to friends, family, counselors, reaching out to people and talking about it is always going to be helpful. It's always going to feel a lot better. And then finding a creative activity. This can really just be any hobby. It doesn't have to be like creative, but finding any hobby or anything that brings enjoyment to you or kind of recharges your battery is also helpful. So, other things that can help are setting boundaries. This comes in two different forms. So number one is taking breaks. This can be in the form of basically, I'm going to take a break from my homework because I've been working on it for 4 hours and I need to look at something different. That's setting a boundary, saying like, I'm not going to endlessly do homework for forever. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to go do something else and reset. And that's fine. It can also mean spending time alone. This is a big thing if you're spending time with family, whether it's holidays, get-togethers, anything like that. It's perfectly fine to be like, hey, I just need like 20 minutes to myself right now. So whether it's going in your room, whether it's going outside, wherever it is you get like 20 minutes of alone time, like that's okay. That's setting a boundary of like, I need to recharge. I need like 20 minutes to myself, and that's okay. The other way of setting boundaries is learning to say no. Easier said than done. But basically, learning to say no, especially with people that drain you or stress you out. Basically, no, I can't help you move. No, I can't help you with that thing, setting up for that party. And if, like for Phoebe here, like Ross was asking to help her move, and she's like, I wish I could, but I don't want to. You could word it a lot nicer than that, but basically the sense of like, no is a complete sentence. Saying no to someone doesn't mean you're mean, doesn't mean you're rude. It just means that you're setting a boundary that it's better for you to step back and not do something than it would be to like get involved in that. I will say it's kind of hard at first, but the more you do it, the more you figure out what those boundaries are, and saying no, it's going to get a lot easier. Taking time for yourself. Self-care basically. So hobbies. Like I said, finding those hobbies that recharge your batteries, that you find fun, whether it's running, watching a movie, reading a book, Legos, video games, drawing, etc. Whatever it is, like taking time out of your day, setting time aside where you're gonna do that. Breathing exercises are good, like I said, for the moment, if you're like kind of panicking in the moment. Like I said, the 4-4-4 method, 4 breaths in, hold for 4 seconds, breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and then breathe out for 4 seconds. That's really good kind of to help reset, kind of calm down. Socializing with people. So some people recharge their batteries by socializing. They enjoy reaching out with their friends, talking with people. If you enjoy that, go ahead and do that. Meet your friends up for dinner. Go out and hang with your family members. Or some people prefer to like recharge by staying alone. That's okay. That's where we say that no, right? No, I can't go out with you. I want to stay home. Maybe it's spending, alone time doing all of your hobbies that kind of recharges your battery. Whichever one works for you. Whatever you find relaxing. Basically, we want you to be as happy as Sophia is over here in the picture with the grass. Another thing about stress is picking your battles. Sometimes, especially in kind of the world's day, a lot of things turn into some sort of argument. And knowing when to give a response and when not to give a response can also kind of help with our stress levels. Not everything deserves a response. Not everything deserves a retort. And learning when you want to give a response and when you can ignore it is entirely up to you. And honestly, part of that is just practice. Kind of figure out what you feel can kind of been like let go, or what do you feel needs like, well, no, I need to correct that. So for example, I have an uncle who's very irritating in my personal opinion. And part of that is if I'm around him for whatever reasons, usually family events, is learning when to like, because he likes to pick on education, So like when to respond to him, or versus when, it's better for my stress actually to like let it go and ignore it. And it's better for me to in that case. Part of that's just practice. And like I said, you get to pick and decide what you feel is important to respond to, what's not to. But it's okay to pick your battles. It's okay if you don't want to respond to something or just kind of let something go or let something slide. Like I've definitely let certain things slide with my uncle sometimes because it's better for me for a stress level to like let it go, because I would be more stressed out, more frustrated and angry if I didn't let it go. And sometimes that's what we have to do to protect our stress. So what if it's still too much? What if you're still overly stressed? What if you're like can't find motivation for things, or you're just so overwhelmed, right? Maybe you're feeling like this picture here. So what do you do then? Reach out for support. This can be through friends, it can be family members, whoever you trust, whoever you pick, is make sure there's someone that's actually going to listen to you, and actually going to help you through whatever you're stressed out about going through. That can be really helpful. Journaling is another big thing that people find, and this can be in a couple different ways. It can be a true journaling format where you have a journal, whether it's digital or like an actual journal, and you just write out, like kind of like a diary, write out like why you're frustrated, what you're frustrated with, and you just kind of go. Sometimes it can just be like quick notes or like a mind map kind of thing too. I've done that. Like I'm not a big writer. Excuse me. So I've done too sometimes where I'm like frustrated and I just kind of start like writing short little things, and I have little arrows off of like, well, I'm stressed, like this is a big topic I'm stressed about, why, here. And sometimes putting it all out on paper, putting all that emotion out on paper kind of helps us work through it and get kind of the expression, like I said, of emotion. The other thing you can do is you can also talk with licensed counselors. So I've got 3 different websites here. So this first one is through Lone Star. It's CIS, which is Communities in Schools. They offer some mental health at campuses for free of charge. If you click their website, it'll go there, give you contact information for contacting or reaching out to whichever. They're on every campus, so depending on where you're at, whichever campus you're closest to or you prefer, you can look up their information or reach out to them. This next one is also through Lone Star. This is what they call Care for Completion Mental Health. So it provides a lot of different other resources in addition to CIS. It offers some resources throughout Harris County, throughout Montgomery County, if you would prefer to use those instead as well. You might have to look in to see whether those are free or not. That would have information. The other website here is what we call Mental Health America National. So Mental Health America is do what Sophie is doing right now. My dog is reaching out and saying she is needing attention. But Mental Health America is a national organization. They have chapters, I think, in every state, and they provide mental health support. You can take, I think there's quizzes on their website. If you're not sure, if you kind of want to get an idea of like, well, I'm dealing with depression or anxiety or whatever, you can go there. They also have a bunch of resources for if you're looking for counselors or just anything like that. You can just check them out. And I also wanted to share, these are all up to date. These are some important numbers, crisis lines. If you want to talk to someone immediately, and again, it doesn't matter if every problem is important. It doesn't matter whether you think it's small. If it's important to you, it's important. So the first line is the National Suicide and Crisis Line, the 988. That is a 24/7. These are all 24/7, by the way. The first one here is also text, so you can call or text as well. And you can talk to them. It's all private. No one's going to share your information. This next one is for the LGBTQ plus hotline, so obviously specializing in specializing for the LGBTQ plus community. Sorry, I believe that's also call and text. For veterans specifically, it's 988 press and you need press 1. We have the trans hotline here, so these are geared for people dealing with trans concerns, crisis. And then we have the domestic violence hotline. So if you're experiencing some sort of domestic hotline violence, this number is geared for those people as well. So again, these are all 24/7, and you're important no matter how small you think that problem is. If it's important to you, it's important. Please don't hesitate to reach out. So hopefully you found this PowerPoint helpful, and you can practice some tips in trying to reduce stress.